everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Daydream Nation, and today I've got a very special guest. I've got Australian singer-songwriter Rose Carleo. How are you?
Hey Peter, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Now, I thought it'd be an interesting way of doing an interview with you, Rose, that we do a show where we kind of pick our 5 favourite female singer rock albums. And
Cool.
while we're talking about, our 5 favourite albums or 5 favourite singers, we can talk about your work and your career and, have a bit of a yak about what you're putting out. So doesn't have to be in any particular order. And I'll start with you. What's your first pick as your favourite female singer rock album?
There's so many. I would definitely have to say Little Queen from Heart.
Right. Okay.
1977, I think it was. So, Barracuda and Kick It Out. And I just, that was one of the albums that changed my life, I think, because it was more like, wow, absolutely incredible energy, really raw.
Yep.
Just even still to this day, it just astounds me at how good it is.
Yeah, big voice. Did you see them when they came out to support Def Leppard?
Yeah, I've seen them a few times. They're incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, because they only toured Australia once. So I saw that as well, and I thought actually they were better than Def Leppard. I don't know.
Or as good as, for sure. They blew my mind. They were, incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. What sort of singers do you gravitate to? Is it the tone? Is it something in particular that really you gravitate to those type of singers?
Yeah, a lot of it is the tone. Sort of a bit of grunt, a bit of grit, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate all styles of singing. I really, really do. But something that's got a bit of grunt and a bit of soul, So I guess that's where my love of the blues comes in as well.
Yep.
It's something with a bit of heart and just that makes you your heart wrench, and just sort of stand up and go, wow. What did that just do, So
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to tag off you because I did pick Heart as well, but I picked their more of their hair metal albums because they went through a bit of a reinvention in the 80s. Big hair, a lot of reverb, and I've got a bit of a guilty pleasure soft spot for Bad Animal.
Yeah, well, that was my other choice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I love Alone. I shouldn't, but I do. It's so dramatic. Basically the singing is just it's powerhouse. Who Will You Run To? It sort of fits in that era of the Bon Jovi, the White Snake, and they were just, basically they were competing with those sort of bands. But,
yes, absolutely.
But Alone is the showstopper, and it never sort of
isn't it just
it doesn't disappoint. And
no.
that was a highlight of the show when they supported Def Leppard.
I get teary when I hear that song, like when I heard them sing it live. You just sort of just the emotion, and the way she portrays it all.
Yeah, when you listen to the song, you're just waiting for the drama bit, aren't you? Just where it's like silent, and then the
story,
the Tonight when she comes in with Tonight.
I know.
Yeah, showstopper. All right, that's mine. So what's your next one?
I reckon Melissa Etheridge's first self-titled album with a red cover.
I thought you were going to do that.
It was 1988, yeah. That actually really changed my world as well.
Yeah.
When I heard her, it was obviously Bring Me Some Water was the I think one of the biggest ones off that, and Like the Way I Do. But wow. that really changed my world, and I just her pain, just the way she was, feeling it, I guess, and a love song's a love song, right? No matter who it's about. So
yes, absolutely.
But just her passion just drew me in, and of course the grit in her voice.
Do a lot of folks compare you to Melissa Etheridge? Because listening to a lot of your songs are in that sort of very much like Melissa. Have you been compared a lot?
Yeah, they do. I do. Yeah, it's and I take it obviously as a compliment because she's sensational. I've probably seen her in concert about 4 or 5 times. She's incredible. So it's obviously something I take as a real compliment, and Yeah.
And incidentally, while we're talking about you, you've got a new song called Daisy Song.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, what's the story? Tell the folks at home, what's the story behind this song?
So Daisy Song was born a couple of years ago. My partner Mick Adkins, and guitar player and MD and songwriter in the band.
Yeah.
His friend Darren Booth, who is known as Daisy, was going through a real hard time with anxiety and depression and alcoholism, and poured his heart out to Mick, and it was more in sort of a poem form, and it resonated straight away. So Mick sort of rewrote some of the words in the format, wrote the music, and then we looked at the melody. I helped him write the melody, and I think we did the demo in like 2 takes. It just felt right. But yeah, it's a song of hope, a song about reaching out, and I think almost everybody on the planet can relate to the song, whether it's themselves or someone they know. And I kind of like that in this day and age, it's more accepted to talk about, depression, anxiety, going through bad times. It's not as swept under the carpet.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks, listen to this song, and definitely I'll put the link to this clip so folks can check it out.
It means a lot to us. Yeah, it's just, it really resonated.
All right. Well, I'm going to try something different in my top 5. This band came out in 1995, a little bit around the grunge alternative era, and I'm talking about Garbage. Are you familiar with Garbage? Shirley Manson?
They were on my top 10. Yeah, I love Garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm Only Happy When It Rains, Stupid Girl, Milk, Queer.
Yeah.
I think it's a classic album. I don't think their other albums were as good as that one.
I remember it's marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sold a ton, charted all around. And look, I saw them live probably off the back of their 3rd album, and she's very charismatic. She's like kind of a little pocket rocket, but she's got a big voice and big personality, and that's what I like in the singers. They don't have to sing classically wonderfully, but as long as they've got the personality and charisma, and it comes out in spades. So yeah,
and it's kind of the intent behind it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your next pick?
Oh, geez. There's so many good albums. I think I will go with, I've got a bit of a list here, and I'm like, which one? The Divinals, the Desperate album.
The first one.
Yeah. So 83, I think it was. Make You Happy, Siren, which is one of the best duets I've ever heard in my life. Science Fiction, Casual Encounter. Chrissy Ampler was just a force of nature. She was just, her own niche, her own thing. I saw her. I'm from Perth originally, so I saw her perform in Perth a couple of times. She was mesmerising, and I just love her. She just didn't care attitude, as in she was her. Like it or lump it. Yeah, I really liked that confidence.
Absolutely. Look, I think I first saw her on the Australian music show Countdown.
Yep.
And she was just so different. And she was our Deborah Harry. She was our missing person. She was just she had such a unique presence and a voice. When I saw her live, it was just absolutely captivating. She was a lot of people describe her as almost like a female Bon Scott, and I'll take that.
Yeah.
Because she had that charisma of just owning the stage. Apparently in private, she was just very reserved and introverted and quiet. But once she goes on stage, it was like a switch came on, and she was like this whole different persona. I'm going to tag off you again. What a Life. The second album that follows Desperate, I really love that. And that's got Pleasure and Pain, The Good Die Young, In My Life, Sleeping Beauty. I mean, there are songs on this that are not necessarily rocky, but she does some of the beautiful tender ballads.
Yeah, she does.
And, I think the thing about them, they didn't do enough albums. They don't have a huge discography. And unfortunately, she's no longer with us. But boy, they were a powerhouse
absolutely.
in the 80s and the 90s. fantastic. And I kind of prefer those earlier albums than the hit that she's known about, I Touch Myself, which I don't really think that's their best song in any shape.
No, I don't think it is, but I think it was, I read somewhere that it was actually the most successful song. So it's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, in America, they're known as a one-hit wonder, but they're definitely a lot more. And they could have, it's a bit of a head scratch. They could have been huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the right marketing. So going back to you've got an album, I believe, that's going to be coming out in 2026. Is it too early to tell the folks at home what we can expect?
You can, no, not really. We're still working on it. We're still just deciding which songs to go on an album. I think in the age of streaming and just listening to one song instead of an album, it's so different to what I grew up with, and probably yourself as well. So when we put an album together, it's a real tapestry of work. It's a story. The whole thing is like a picture with maybe a certain theme that runs through it or whatever. So there's going to be, how can I say it, a lot of truth in this album. I guess like Daisy's song and we did, Line 'Em Up was one that we brought out last year before, that will be on it. But just a lot of, truth, probably the best way I can describe it, how we feel. It's because we're writing it, we've written it. It's all about, I guess, opinions and how we feel about things. And I think a lot of the content or subject matter, a lot of people, we go through pretty much everything. Everyone goes through almost the same things in life, just at different times, right? So, for instance, I lost my mum when I was 19. People might not lose their parents till they're 60, or they might lose them earlier, or whatever. So, I think obviously as humans, we are all very similar, and we look at things in a similar way, but we just don't always talk about it. So, there's going to be a lot of grit, a lot of big guitar riffs, and a lot of emotion.
And a bit of balladry, a few ballads.
Yeah.
Because you do bring in a little bit of an acoustic side. It's not all rock, is it? Like you bring in these moments where, the acoustic guitar comes out. And is there a lot of quieter moments on the album as well?
Not a lot. There's a few, but not a lot. A lot of sort of mid-tempo stuff as well. So just a bit of a cross section. It's always so hard deciding, what songs go with what and what to bring out, because we've got probably more to choose from than we have had before, which is obviously a great problem to have. So
what bands were your DNA growing up, and sort of also form the inspiration for you right now?
I grew up on country music. My mum was a huge country music fan, so but at the same time, there was rock on the other side as well with my older siblings, with their albums, turned up to 11. So, Emmylou Harris, Dolly Parton, the Eagles, Johnny Cash, all that good stuff. And Kiss, Australian Crawl, AC/DC, of course.
That's some mix.
I know. Like, I've still got my brother's Australian Crawl Sirocco album with my name written on it. I only told him recently, remember how you lost that Sirocco album? I've got it.
I've got so many albums I borrowed off mates like 30 years ago, and it just gets absorbed.
Yes. So look, I think probably because my mum had a really eclectic taste in music, from Status Quo to Bon Scott to Patsy Cline. It was quite funny. She used to she loved AC/DC, but I do remember this one time where she cranked Shook Me All Night Long, so Brian Johnson, cranked it on the stereo, just loved it. And anyway, a couple of days later, the neighbours said to Mum, "Gee, Mary, kids had the stereo cranked pretty loud the other day." She goes, "Really? Gee, I'll tell them to keep it down next time." It was her. So so from AC/DC to Patsy Cline. So I think that's where I kind of inherited also my love of all sorts of genres. Paul Rodgers is another big one for me as well. I adore him, and Led Zeppelin as well, Robert Plant.
Well, that's fantastic because you're giving the folks at home a little bit of a sample of what to expect with your album and who you are. It's part of your DNA, and there's it makes it interesting where you've got so many genres and just refining it into something that's totally you. So
I think the country part of it, it's the stories. That's what I fell in love with. The stories in a song,
storytelling.
Yeah, something meaningful, something with a message or whatever. So that's sort of where that sort of come from, I think. But
fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, what's your next album you'd like to showcase?
Ooh, well, I reckon one from the 90s. Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill.
Oh, man, did that you couldn't avoid hearing that album. That just was sold by the tons.
That was sensational. That was You Ought to Know, of course, was the every person thought that was written about them or for them. Hand in Pocket, Head Over Feet. Did you know there is a ghost track on that album?
No.
Right at the end. Yeah, wait a couple of maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And it's just her singing a cappella. It is, what's it called? I'm just trying to remember what it's called. Forgive Me Love. Yeah, I can't remember. I think it's called Forgive Me Love. It is haunting. I remember the first time we just let the album play through, and I was like, whoa, what's this? Incredible.
Yeah. You got any theories why she didn't sort of follow it up? Do you think it was just lightning in a bottle moment?
I did hear, and I don't know if this is true, but she released a country album at the same time to see which one would go out. And as I said, I don't know if it's fact. I think that she had so much traction and success with the first album. I don't know. Maybe she was tired. Maybe there was so much touring, and she had about 6 singles off it. I think, didn't she? She had
absolutely. It just sold a ton.
Yeah. So I think she just thought, oh well. But who knows? You don't know. I know she probably got married and started a family and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, the one I'm going to go with was kind of a little bit of had a bit of status in the late 70s, and Pat Benatar with In the Heat of the Night. So I think she was a real role model for that rock front person, and this had Heartbreaker, I Need a Love, No You Don't by The Sweet. I think it's a killer album, and I really love those first 3 or 4 rock albums before she went a little bit poppy and it got a little bit middle of the road. So I don't like the Love Is a Battlefield, but I love it when she rocks out those early albums.
Yeah, right. I love her. I remember all the early stuff, and we used to do it in the cover band too, so, and talk about big songs.
Absolutely. Now, your music is a bit of a synergy between blues and rock. Do you have a preference, or you're happy to shift between both?
I guess I'm happy to shift between both. It depends, I guess, on the song and on the feel of the song, or what the song's about, or how I'm feeling even, I love to rock out. I love a good, Led Zeppelin or, whatever. Blues wise, I guess I'm glad you've asked me this, because I was thinking about albums that I love and that have really influenced me. And there's quite a few blues albums and singers that have influenced me, like Etta James, Bonnie Raitt, people like that. So it's just that whole heart on your sleeve thing, and I think that's where where I really feel the emotion in the blues stuff. And the rock stuff, it's just about getting that message out there, that how can I say it, that determination, that urgency, I guess. So yeah, I guess I drift between the two, but to be honest, I don't even think about it. It just kind of happens.
Do you believe that you actually have to go through heartbreak to really interpret the blues? I know this is a big question.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I don't want to offend anyone. Personally, I think you do. I think people can emulate things, to a degree. Like when I was young in my teens, singing a heartbreak song and, really copying that emotion and trying to feel it. Sure, I might have done an okay job, but going through it, or losing a parent or a sibling, or getting your heart broken, I think that's just another rung on the ladder.
Absolutely. It adds that little bit of edge, doesn't it, if you've actually gone through it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well said.
Thank
All right. What's your next pick? I think we're up to the business end. I think this is, I think your last pick.
I've got about 5 to choose from.
We'll throw some honourable mentions, so don't feel you have to hold back. So yeah, what's your next pick?
Look, Janis Joplin, Pearl.
Big voice, the big voice.
And she had a really tough life, and she went through a lot of hard stuff as well. Again, I don't think I even have to sort of preface it. It's her hurt, her pain, her everything she felt. You could feel it. And her version of Chris Christopherson's Bobby McGee, and Move Over. That was another one of my favourites. She was just it for me. When I first heard her, I remember I was just like, what? Who is this? So, yeah, I guess I connected with her and with her energy, with her that she'd lived a life.
Absolutely. I think Melissa Etheridge was mooted to do a biopic. It just popped into my head, but I'm not sure.
I did hear something about that, yeah.
Yeah. Look, the commenters will probably tell me I'm just making it up, but it just struck me. I remember they were really. They've never done a biopic, but
maybe
I think
we can make it happen.
late 80s or early 90s, there was a lot of Hollywood heat that they were going to do a biopic, and she was in the running. So, my next one she was probably the queen of new wave, and that's Deborah Harry and
Blondie. Yeah.
So probably not the greatest voice, but boy, she was charismatic.
Absolutely.
And I think Eat to the Beat, 1979, you had Dreaming, Union City Blues, Die Young, Stay Pretty. I think she had her best vocal performance on that album. It was produced by the great Australian producer, Mike Chapman, and he brought out the best out of her, and she really puts a great vocal performance. But she's a survivor. I saw her last year, and, great band, so many hits, and, I just think she was just so charismatic.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. She really is.
Do you enjoy being in the studio, or do you prefer being out live? And
that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I love both. I love being out live. You've got, the energy of the band. You've got the vibe. You've got the crowd. You've got, all those elements which you bounce off, which you get energized from as well. The studio is just as good but different. So it's just a great space to really focus, to create. Time stands still in a studio. I don't know if anyone said that to you before, but it does for me anyway. You can be in there for an hour and or 2 hours, and it feels like 5 minutes. It just goes so quick. I love the intimacy of a studio, that you can really try different things and just really get into yourself and zone out. So
do you ever get fatigued when you got to do another take?
Yeah, you do. But that's when you sort of go and get some fresh air or take a breath or whatever. And quite often that little reset it'll do something. If you're sort of not quite getting something, or if you're working on a particular line of a song or something, it's like, I've got a block or whatever, and then you go out and get a breath of fresh air or make a cup of coffee or something, and that sort of just resets.
Absolutely. And what about the process of writing? Do you really enjoy that?
Yeah, I do love songwriting. So many different ways. I've started writing a little bit on my own, but I do prefer co-writing. So Mick and I co-write a lot together. I think 2 or even 3 heads are better than one, because I might have an idea that I'm stuck with, or it's not going anywhere, but he'll say, try this, or then that might take us to another level. So I think it's really interesting writing with other people, and you learn a lot about yourself too, so yeah.
Does inspiration come to you in the most unusual places? Do you ever, wake up in the middle of the night and something comes to you and you've got to write it down or get the recorder out?
That's happened to me. It's happened to Mick a fair bit too. I remember something I recorded many years ago. I was vacuuming the house and the melody in the chorus words came into my head. So I turned the vacuum off and thought, oh, well, I need to finish writing this song.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah. So, yeah, look, it can happen at any time. It's when you say, okay, we're going to write a song on Monday, we're going to have a session at 10 o'clock, a lot of the time that does work, but not all the time. Sometimes something's flowing, sometimes it's not. So it's always good when just something, when your subconscious is open, I guess, and something flows in, or, you feel what you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you've been performing, had a musical career for, say, 25 years. Is there a particular highlight? Maybe it might be a concert or an event that you want to share with the audiences that is truly special to you and still resonates with you?
That I played at, do you mean? Or,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It could be a moment.
A moment, yeah. There's a few probably. When we recorded my 2015 album, Time Is Now, with Mark Opitz and Colin Wynn, yeah. So Mick and I produced it with them. So that was a real experience, and it was an absolute pleasure. It was really great. And that album actually ARIA charted. So that was a real highlight for me. I think also going back, I was 13 when my mum first dared me to get up on stage. I'd been called up on stage, and because I like to have a bit of a sing, So when I think back to that, and, I can still see her across the table going, I dare you. And I was like, you're crazy. She's like, I dare you. And I'm like, that's it, I'm doing it. And she worked reverse psychology really, really well. So that is really, really special to me, obviously, because she's not here any longer. So, yeah, so that's a huge thing. And I guess just playing with the musicians that I'm playing with these days, some of the best in Australia, it's just such a privilege, and to be, playing with the people I'm playing with, and to be playing to the audiences that we're playing with as well, playing to, I should say. So they're probably a couple of the highlights, but yeah, I'm really blessed. I've had many. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, working with Mark Opitz, and just for the folks at home, Angels, Cold Chisel, it's like the who's who.
Australian cricket, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. What was it like working with him? Did he...
Really good. We all had lots of different opinions, which is great, obviously, when you've got 4 people producing. It was just a real different insight, and with his experience and knowledge and vision, I guess, totally different to ours. So it, I think we wove in all of our styles and opinions really, really well. I definitely, would love to do it again sometime. But it was a real experience, and just watching him work as well.
Yeah, was he a very interventionist, or was he kind of laid back sort of producer?
Probably a bit more laid back, but then you think he's maybe laid back, but then next minute he comes up with something that's like, where did that come from? So it was...
He's listening.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, observing and listening type of...
Yeah, really, a really, really great thing to observe.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, maybe I think we've gone through our 5. Maybe just hit me with some honourable mentions, rapid fire.
How long have I got? No.
It's okay. Just...
Sass Jordan, Canadian singer Sass Jordan. I love her. Racine is one of her albums I love. And she did Make Me a Believer and Hard Road and everything. She's got a lot of soul and a lot of grit. Fleetwood Mac, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, like... How could you not? If I name all their songs, I'll be here for an hour. Everyone knows Fleetwood Mac. And I think just the angst, in that band, with the relationships and the breakups and the go your own way. And, that was pretty special for us. Not so much for them, but Joan Jett is another one.
Yeah. That was on the cusp of my list.
Yeah, same. Joan Jett is just cool as anything. There's no one cooler. Bonnie Raitt, Etta James, who I mentioned. So that's just a few, but and they're women with soul, with heart, with guts.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great list, and I've really enjoyed talking to you and going through these picks.
You too, Peter.
Let us know what does the rest of 2025 look like for you? What have you got planned?
Well, we're finishing off the album.
Yep.
We have some gigs planned around New South Wales and probably heading into Victoria and South Australia too, hopefully.
Yes.
So looking at doing all that. We have a tour booked in Japan for April 26. Yeah, so that's going to be really exciting. My first time to Japan. I've travelled a fair bit, but not played in Japan, so we're all a bit excited about that. So yeah, just spreading the word, I guess, spreading the music and doing what we love.
Absolutely, and maybe down the track something stateside. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I would love. I've got quite a few fans and friends in the States and Canada, and but the States is definitely on my wish list. So if anyone's got any venues, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, as I said, I'll put the link. You've got a website that
Yes, we do.
folks can just check out your previous albums and what you're up to. But look, it's been fantastic to talk to you and meet with you. Folks, catch up with Rose and the website and the new song, Daisy Song. It's a really fantastic, cracking track. And look, love to catch up with you in the future and see what's happening. Maybe when when the new album comes out in early 2026.
Sounds like a plan. That's great. Thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate it.